Hi guys, welcome to the KIKI Files. I apologize for being a little MIA recently. I just got over being sick and I am super excited about today's story. I'm going to be going over the case of Sophie Sergie, the UAF student that was murdered in 1993. It was a cold case file that was recently basically solved with genealogy testing. And you know, before I get into the story, I just have to tell you guys that it really hits home to me because I go to UAF right now. So I guess I could just kind of go with a little backstory. UAF is it's a very home-like school. It feels like you're going to camp, essentially. I did go to camp there a couple of years in a row. I went to the Summer Fine Arts Camp, and let me tell you what, we would play volleyball out in the front. It was just, everyone knew everybody, and you know, just the fact that this happened in our community is so devastating, and I just feel like sharing her story is really important to me. I have everything all scripted out on my laptop, but I just really wanted to just kind of talk from the heart, really. It's a sad story. It's horrible because it hits home when it's in your hometown. You know, this person was a completely innocent person that was she was murdered, and in cold blood, and this person was free for 25 years. I definitely want to get things right, so I'm just going to go ahead and start with it. In April 26, 1993, Sophie's body was found in a bathtub at Bartlett Hall, the upper campus at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. She was a marine biology major, and she was 20 years old, and the year prior she had a full ride scholarship, so she was really bright. I mean, for that major, you have to be smart in math and science, so apparently the girl was really intelligent. She took a semester off because she had some dental work done and she just wanted to recover from that. She lived with her mother and her 3-year-old brother in Pitca's Point, which is 500 miles southwest of Fairbanks, and by the village St. Mary's. There's 150 people that live in her village, and so she was basically known by everyone in her village that she lived in. The day that her body was found, she was shot, she was stabbed, and she had her pants around her ankles. She was sexually assaulted and left for dead. It was on a floor that was all girls only, so there was not supposed to be any guys in that area whatsoever, and just the fact that there was no witnesses, it's just a scary situation all around, and I'm pretty sure really frustrating for the family. February 15th, Alaska State Troopers arrested 44-year-old Stephen Harris Downs of Auburn, Maine. He was identified as a suspect after newly submitted DNA evidence linked him to the crime. He is charged with first-degree murder and first-degree sexual assault. Downs was an 18-year-old UAF student living at Bartlett Hall at the time of Sergie's death. He and his roommate, who also worked as a security guard, were both interviewed during the initial stages of investigations. Both men denied any involvement or knowledge of the incident. In July of 2018, an investigator decided to try genetic genealogy to identify the killer. The same technique was used to find the Golden State Killer earlier in the year. Collected DNA evidence is compared to DNA profiles voluntarily submitted to public genealogical databases. The comparison identifies blood relatives of the unidentified suspect, and standard genealogical methods are used to narrow the field and identify a suspect. I bet there's a lot of people, if you really think about it, a lot of people are out there shaking in their boots right now, you know. You know what I mean? Just the thought that one day their past can catch up to them. That'll be really interesting. I might do a video to see how many other people out there that got caught up in, you know, these kind of, you know, cold cases that finally ended up getting caught. I want to talk a little bit about Sophie Sergie, because, you know, this is all about her life. I spoke to a few people that knew her, and I actually have one statement made from somebody that knew her personally, and I'll put that towards the end. Okay, so 24-year-old Sophie Sergie was a Yupik native of Pitcairn Point, a village of 150 located by St. Mary's in southwest of Fairbanks. 1 year before her passing, she attended UAF on a full academic scholarship from British Petroleum. So that's money. You know, you gotta be intelligent to get that, that spot. So she was very intelligent, and her major was marine biology. She had dental procedures, so she decided to take a semester off to recover. She was living with her mother, Elena Sergie, and 3-year-old brother in Pitcairn Point. Her dental appointments brought her back to Fairbanks. So she also decided to get some coursework completed while in Fairbanks, and the next day she had an appointment and then a flight back home, which she missed, and that, obviously brought up all the red flags. After her death, Sophie was laid to rest next to her grandmother. It was really upsetting to see what Sophie's mother went through. Nobody wants to see their child, die before them. You always expect to be the one first to go. But to have, your child die a horrific death that's got to be a hard thing to, overcome on a daily basis. So I really feel for the mother. When she laid flowers on the gravesite, she said, quote, "For me, she's just away somewhere and she'll be coming home soon." Well, on campus, after this tragic event, security began offering around-the-clock escort services between resident halls and classrooms, and they are pretty far in between. So that was probably, they really needed to do that and implement that around the campus. Dave Spurbeck, then a forensic psychologist and director of mental health at the Alaska Department of Corrections, said, quote, "If this person has psychological problems to convert frustration and rage into sexuality, that is an addiction that he can't control. Whoever forcibly sexually assaulted Sophie had done it before and will do it again. Some attackers can go some time before striking again, but they always have another in mind. They fantasize, feeding pornography and memories of past crimes." So that definitely brings me just to talk about Stephen Downs and how he became a registered nurse and basically had so many women make complaints against him. He was fired, and just his disregard and disrespect for women that he has, and it's just a great thing he is off the streets. Okay, in 2009, troopers shared new leads to the public. Sophie had last been seen around midnight, according to the Cold Case Squad's press release. Her clothing description the night she died was publicized along with a photo showing she wore a brightly colored native-style hooded sweater. Troopers wanted to talk to anyone who might have seen Sergie that night, smoking a cigarette and talking to people in front of Hess Commons, the building adjoining the Moore Bartlett Scarlett Halls dorm complex. About a year ago, in one of my classes, I was so excited about this person that I'm going to talk about. His name is Sean Esticlick Topcock. He was one of our guest speakers in our class, and I reached out to him after seeing him on a picture of him being at Sophie's memorial service that they had at UAF a month ago. I was too sick to attend. And he replied to me, and he said this. He said, "I was Sophie's math tutor while we were undergraduates. She was also a friend who I knew through Rural Student Services. She moved back home. I started dating my now wife, and I worked in Anchorage in 1992, a long-distance relationship. When I found out about Sophie's murder, I was heartbroken for her and her family. I was also concerned about Amy. I then decided to quit my job and move back to Fairbanks. Sophie's unfortunate murder caused an impact. UAF started caring more about safety. We used to have a shared phone for every floor in the dorms. People used to walk freely in and out of dorms with no monitoring. Why did it take Sophie's tragedy to finally make positive changes? However, it had an impact. But we must not concentrate on the situation. We need to remember Sophie, the sweet, innocent person. She was always smiling. She worked hard. She was social and made many friends easily. She was a wonderful, beautiful person. There are so many missing and murdered Indigenous women throughout the world. They all have names. They all have relations. They all have family and people who love them. I hope we don't think of them as statistics. We all must remember them as people, wonderful and beautiful people, for that is their essence that we mourn. Koinak for allowing me to share and remember Sophie as the beautiful woman she was. Sean Asigla Topcott. You know, the story is definitely far from over. There's still going to be court proceedings. Stephen Downs is being extradited from Maine, and he was denied bail. So I will definitely keep you guys updated on what happens with the court proceedings, but I'm pretty sure he will never be released from prison. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I loved it so much to just, tell you guys the story. It's been so much on my heart, and Sophie was an amazing woman, and I just hope that her family is getting the peace that they can move forward. And I hope that Sophie is resting in peace. If you guys have any requests, please leave it down below. I am really interested in doing a few more stories on Indigenous women or men, so if you guys are interested in that, please leave the comment down below. I love you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.